The clock is ticking for TikTok and WeChat to sell their U.S. businesses before U.S. President Donald Trump's ban goes into effect. What does the saga say about U.S.-China tensions and tech as the latest battleground? And an eye for an eye, China just sanctioned 11 U.S. officials in retaliation for U.S. sanctions on Chinese and Hong Kong SAR officials. How to prevent the tit for tat from spiraling out of control. Welcome to The Point, an opinion show coming to you live from Beijing. I'm Li Xin. The TikTok drama continues after U.S. President Donald Trump signed an executive order banning U.S. transactions with the app, along with WeChat, another Chinese social media app. That is, unless parent companies ByteDance and Tencent sell their U.S. business by September the 20th. Critics say the apps pose threats to U.S. national security, but others say it's just the Trump administration's latest strike against China. The threat raises many questions. How would it work? What kind of precedent does it set? And what does it mean for Chinese tech companies that want to go abroad? Joining me for the discussion from Beijing is Wang Huiyao, president of the Center for China and Globalization, and from New York via Skype, David Auerbach, writer, critic, and former software engineer for Google and Microsoft. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. So, President Trump's executive order gives both TikTok and WeChat a 45-day window, after which, per the wording of the order, they'll be barred from doing business within the U.S. But, Mr. Auerbach, let me go to you first. How exactly will the ban work? Will these apps disappear from American app stores or from people's phones? How will American users or users within the U.S. be affected?
There are still some questions there because of the sheer vagueness of the order, and there are some interpretations right now suggesting that Tencent's interactions on Fortnite would even be affected. So there are some clarifications to be clear that need to be made. But we could say that, yeah, it is highly likely that the apps would disappear from Apple and Google's app stores, which would have the effect of making it very difficult for the majority of everyday users to access them. In addition, other types of commerce would be banned, including advertising purchases on those services.
Has the U.S. government ever interfered with people's social media platforms in this way before? What do you see as the major concerns on both sides?
I wouldn't. To this degree, I would not. I would not say so. That it has never been completely open, but this is certainly a move on the level which we have not seen before. For the United States, I think that what the issue is effectively, does it cause that sort of an escalation and and a retaliatory battle, as we've seen with tariffs over the last couple of years. More generally speaking, does it interfere with just everyday communications and relationships, whether business or social, between the countries? Perhaps the other guests can speak more to China's concerns.
All right. Well, TikTok, let me go to Professor Wang. TikTok, the latest announcement by TikTok is that they are planning to sue the Trump administrations over the order as soon as Tuesday. So naturally, what's the legal basis for the lawsuit? How significant is that? And what's working in TikTok's favor and what's not? If you want to pick up on the concern from the Chinese side, you could also help people understand.
Thanks, Xin. I think that the Trump's ban on TikTok and WeChat that only gave 45 days is really very, very harsh and unprecedented, and it's another heavy blow, I think, to decouple, at least technically, between China and the U.S. I think what TikTok is trying to do is trying to make this lawsuit, and is really because as a previous guest has said, there's no really obvious legal ground for that. So hopefully this lawsuit can really gain some time if this is accepted and then processing, so that TikTok may ask for extension of the ban, and also probably trying to find reasons why national security is an issue, and maybe wants to government give some evidence for that. So I think that this is really a saga going on that we've been seeing on a daily basis, which is very, very unfortunate and very, very sad for both countries. And as a matter of fact, that TikTok already has 100 million users or downloads in the United States. And WeChat has already been widely used among at least 5 million American Chinese, and probably millions more Americans who have a close ties with China. Like also there's another 1 million almost Chinese student, and millions of tourists travel between the two countries. So I think in the end we're going to offend all those users and consumers. I think probably not going to serve the purpose of the President Trump, and may even backfire and then get people really tired of that and even vote against the President Trump if not handled carefully.
Well, critics warn that TikTok could collect data to send back to the Chinese government. Some U.S. politicians have been vocal about that issue, including Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer, who says a U.S. company should buy TikTok so everyone can keep using it and your data is safe. This is about privacy, with TikTok in China is subject to Chinese Communist Party laws that may require handing over data to their government. A safe way must be found for TikTok to continue. Republican Senator Ted Cruz says Confucius Institutes, land purchases, consular spy hubs targeting research. TikTok, the Chinese Communist Party takes a whole of state approach to espionage. We cannot continue to turn a blind eye to these serious national security threats. Well, at least so far, according to analysis done by U.S. intelligence communities by the CIA, there has been no evidence that information has been turned over to the Chinese side, but people are saying, as for the future, there might be this potential. So, Mr. Auerbach, how do you look at these concerns? Are there any legitimacy? And if there are any legitimacy from an engineering point of view, is there any other way of addressing these data privacy or national security concerns?
It is, as you say, speculative. Unlike the case with Huawei, where there is an ongoing investigation, and that was used as grounds for the various ban orders. There's nothing on TikTok right now, and certainly from an intelligence standpoint, TikTok specifically does not seem to offer up much in the way of what one might call high quality intelligence. These are teenagers sharing videos of themselves. So it's not that the point is wrong. It's just highly speculative and sounds like an excuse for what is likely being motivated by other possibly more petty concerns.
Yeah.
If you were to address this, there could be all sorts of privacy and encryption level controls encoded that would have the effect of protecting the data both from China and the U.S. government. But the U.S. government's approach tends to be that we would like to be able to surveil you. We just don't want anyone else doing it.
Well, definitely in this case, it seems that prospect is quite dim. Now, Microsoft is among the American companies, including Twitter, reportedly vying to buy TikTok's U.S. business. Besides the potential buyer, who else might benefit from the ban? Some people are saying Facebook, which is reportedly making an application to rival TikTok, could benefit hugely from TikTok's ban. Professor Wang, how do you look at that kind of arguments and the potential ban? What does it mean for competition and innovation if competitors are wiped out?
Well, I think that first of all, the concern that over the national security is really a bit stretched, because as we all know that there's 100 million Apple phone users in China, and also Android system is widely used also in China, and there's so many products, I mean, made by Americans used in China, airplanes to automobiles, you name it. So if we justify everything on the national security, then we just can't live with each other anymore. We just have to really totally decoupled. And I don't think it's good for this, we are already so much intertwined, the prosperous world. And so this is really absurd. And second, I think that if TikTok and WeChat cannot continue, probably the best way is, the way left is that to merge or to be sold to an American company, that the brand can be continued, so that the new form of invention and the livelihood and also appealing to the young people can be continued. And particularly the communication. I mean, it's so vital that we have the communication. Like WeChat is already so much important, hundreds of millions of people using that, billions of users that in China. So I think it's really important that we keep the communication open, not totally decoupled on that, and not using national security to really dampen everything and really to destroy everything.
So, as I said, there has been no evidence found by U.S. intelligence community so far that U.S. private information data has been sent to the Chinese government. But the devil's advocate question is, how can you make sure that this won't happen if TikTok stays how it is, if WeChat stays how it is, Professor Wang?
Well, I think that it's just like we got to build up first. I think build up the trust, and then the most important that we should not looking through everything through the lens of security. Second, I think that we should strengthen the collaboration. I think that there is already some collaboration, like Apple's in China, and the Google is Android system is widely used. So that we have TikTok in the U.S., WeChat in the U.S. It should be really accommodating each other. Maybe in the future that Google or Twitter or Facebook can come back to China, so that also we'll have more company goes to the United States. We want to see that maybe in the future to be shaped. But now I think that using this data gathering as an excuse for banning Chinese companies is really absurd, because the U.S. company could also have a lot of Chinese consumers' data as well. So I don't think it makes sense. We're not going to, for example, if people really worry they cannot use WeChat on Apple phone anymore, Apple would lose huge market share in China and internationally. Yeah. So things cannot really be logical in that way, and we unless we really want to have a big fight on that. Because I think this is more political oriented, and it's really geared for the election, but it will serve the counter purpose, maybe offend so many voters on it.
Yeah, there are many American companies operating in China because, for instance, they know what burgers we eat, right? Or coffee we like to have. But Mr. Auerbach, without being a joke, what can Chinese tech companies do with this kind of prospect, that the environment is really hostile?
Yeah, it definitely creates an environment in which there is, as the other guest said, this incentive to decouple. I think there's a strong incentive from the companies themselves not to do so. So the question is, I think what we're going to see in the next couple of months is that they're going to wait to see what the result of the election is, because what will occur after November is so divergent depending on whether Donald Trump or Joe Biden is elected president that most companies are going to say, well, let's wait and see.
Yeah.
And if the result is a Biden victory, I think it is highly likely you'll see a relaxation of some of the most draconian and sloppy and sort of all-encompassing of these orders, simply because all signs are that the Trump administration doesn't even give them all that much thought before implementing them.
Well, it's bad for businesses, Chinese and American, right? The lack of certainty with all of these politicking and polarization going on. Anyway, many thanks to Wang Huiyao and David Auerbach joining us from China and the United States. You've been watching The Point. We'll take a quick break, and when we return, China says it's sanctioning 11 Americans in retaliation for similar measures the U.S. made over Hong Kong. What does this latest escalation mean, and how far will the tit for tat go? Stay with us.